Howdy, folks. Woodrow Walls from NeedCoffee.com here. And you can tell things are a little different. I want to explain this real quick. You see all this yellow stuff here? It's not that the car is necessarily messy. It's that we're in Georgia, and right now, the pollen count, like I think 150 is high. We've been hitting like 2,500, 6,000. So really in Georgia, it's kind of pointless to wash your car until, you know, August. So that's why we're the way we are. So this is the Wayhomer review. I just left the cinema where we've seen a film, and I'm going to tell you about it on the way home. Now prepare yourself. Here we go. Okay. Yes, I'm not in my car. My car is not in the shop. Actually, Cosette's car is in the shop, and so that is why she has my car today. So, Thespia is acting as chauffeur and assistant producer. So, the movie we're here to talk about is Kick-Ass. And, let's see, what can I say about Kick-Ass? Well, first of all, I'm familiar with the comic book. I have not, like, actually read the comic. That was after I got over my comic addiction and didn't come back. So basically, you know, I'm familiar with it. Mark Millar is the guy who did it, who will always have a soft spot in my heart for being the guy who did the second run of Authority after Warren Ellis left, and having a kick-ass storyline that would have been awesome if the freaking artist hadn't, you know, botched it at the end. Anyway, but so Mark Millar, I think it was last for 6 issues or something like that. Anyway, so I'm familiar with the comic, familiar with the film as well, because I thought it was funny that Matthew Vaughn, who was the guy who directed Stardust, and Shane Goldman, of course, who co-wrote this, adapted Stardust. Basically, if I understand the story correctly, he wanted to get this made, and nobody wanted to make it because it has, you know, all these kids, you know, being violent. Like that ever happens. Well, the flipping around bit probably didn't happen very often, but you know what I mean. So he tried to get it made, couldn't get it made, then went and said, okay, fine, I'll make it myself, got it independently financed, and then there was a bidding war once everybody saw what it was. So that just goes to show. What? I'm not sure. Anyway, Kick-Ass, though, synopsis is, there's this guy who's an everyday high school comic geek type person, and he basically, you know, can't figure out why nobody's tried the whole superhero thing in real life. And so he tries it, and hijinks ensue from there. That's pretty much all you need to know. So overall, very pleased with the film, I must say, for a number of reasons. Overall, the way it's painted with the advertising and all the blurbs that they've picked, and the posters and the commercials and trailer and whatnot, they've been pushing it really hard, and they should, because it's a good film. They painted it kind of like a funny bit of mayhem that's going to be kind of ass-kicking and kick-splode all the way through. That's really a ruse to get you into to have a really balanced but insane movie experience. And what I mean by that is that it does have the kick-splode. It does have you know, some really funny moments, some really darkly funny moments, some sick moments, but it's also a film that's got a lot of heart to it. Surprisingly, I mean, really, like, touching moments where you weren't expecting to be touched, and I don't mean that in a perverted kind of way, but I mean, it's just very nice, and very well executed, all the way through. It kind of, at a certain point, when it started to transcend, is when it really started to have some emotional moments to it, that weren't, you know, that didn't feel forced. You know what I mean? Where you try to take a film and you go, well, let's give it a heart and a soul and whatever else. And you've created a Franken film that is going to terrorize the villagers, and people are going to get out the pitchforks and torches and stuff. That's not what's happening here. It's actually quite balanced and quite good. The cast is actually pretty fantastic. Aaron Johnson is as good as the lead. But I think the folks who deserve, that are like the real standouts, are, first of all, Nicolas Cage, who, as we all know, will, you know, people talk about what they would do for a Klondike bar. Nicolas Cage would do just about anything to be in a comic book movie, because the dude is a comic book geek like you wouldn't believe. I mean, that's where he got his last name, Cage. So he actually delivers a really great performance. This is his finest comic book movie moments, I think. And also the young actress who plays his daughter, Chloe Grace Moretz, I think it is. I hope I'm pronouncing it. You know how I am with names. She's fantastic. I don't know where she came from, but she's kind of, you know, glorious in her ability to pull off crazy stuff and make it sort of believable that she can flip around and work a balisong and a gun and God knows what else. So she's kind of fantastic too. So you've got a really great cast and an absolutely preposterous setup, and yet somehow it all works. Tribute to Matthew Vaughn there. So yeah, I think I would give it probably about, I'd give it at least a solid 3.5 cups, maybe more. I'll have to consider it. But no, I was very pleased. I would say you need to see this. Obviously, see it on the... I think if you're a comic book geek, you're going to really enjoy it and want to see it on the big screen. You were probably in the theater with me just now, actually, if you're that big of a comic book geek. But I think you'll want to see it. This isn't going to have probably I don't think it's going to have a great deal of crossover appeal. Like, for example, I mean, Iron Man crossed over into pretty much everybody, so now they all know who he is. I don't know if it's going to go that far. I think that people will be surprised by it, because it's as Thespia pointed out, it really does touch upon a lot of the stuff that we love about comics. You know, having some really great moments of kicking ass and things blowing up and things being funny, and yet, you know, some of the best moments that you remember from comics are those, but also the ones, the really well written, like kind of touching, sweet moments. And there are some, if you know where to look. So I think I'm very happy with the film, honestly, and I look forward to a DVD that will hopefully be stacked with features talking about how they made it and some behind-the-scenes stuff, and especially talking to the cast and talking to Vaughn about the trouble of making a film in which, you know, you have a supposedly 11-year-old girl going around and blowing people's heads off. So that, to me, would be fascinating. But yes, really enjoyed the film, and I suggest you see it, at least catch a matinee, especially if you're a comic book geek, and if you're not, it's worth investigating. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. At least 3.5 cups, maybe more. Anyway, I think that does it. I'm Widget Walls. Join us on needcoffee.com for more insanity. And, oh, and by the way, is Mark Strong in every film that's coming out these days, or is it just me? I'm just wondering. Anyway, so I'm going to get out of here. Driven out of here, and we'll see you next time. Come see us on needcoffee.com, and we appreciate everybody watching. Bye.